Oh, I love that timer. I love that timer so much.
It's very convenient.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, welcome to the Newbcast for July 1st, 2018. My name is Miss Michelle Jean, and I'm joined by one of the usual suspects and a special guest. I guess with that said, I'm going to go ahead and welcome you to the show right away, the Unabridged Gamer.
Hello!
Should we call you that, or can we call you by your name, proper name?
You can call me by my name.
Elijah it is.
Long dick in the mouth.
I guess say Unabridged Gamer is quite a bit to call you every single time, so it's like, why did you use your name for a screen name? Because my name is easy to say, and you don't have to go, which name do you prefer? So Elijah it is. Regardless, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you do and why we decided to invite you?
I talk a lot about really weird games. That is my specialty, is that I know way too much about dead games and weird games, and I talk about it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. Like, recently just talked about Homefront: The Revolution and all of its DLC, which weirdly ended on a high note, but started on a rough note. It's very contradictory. And I also sometimes talk about handheld stuff, like the Star Wars PSP games.
Oh, okay, sure. See, I knew that you did a fair amount of freelancing, so it was great to see that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I also I religion in games, and I occasionally do just a think piece that's thinking way too hard about a specific game for whatever reason.
Awesome. Well, that said, welcome. I'm sure we're gonna have plenty to talk about today.
Overthinking and oversaying things is our specialty, so I encourage this.
Yes, right, exactly.
Oh my god, you are bouncing. You are bouncing like a monster.
Yep. He's that happy to be here. Dizachi, are you that excited to be here? Are you that happy to be here?
I am excited to be here, and I am also the sweatiest person humanity has ever seen today. It is ridiculously warm. Yeah. The air conditioner's on over here, and I promise you, this room is still like above 90. So we're gonna see how that goes.
I am anxiously looking around for my my hand sanitizer, and I don't see it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wait, is that it? Is that it?
I could use the world's worst word to describe this, but you don't want to hear it.
We don't have the right person here to throw that out right now.
Oh, that's from last week. That's right. Yeah. I am decidedly moist.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, guys, welcome to the Newbcast, where we don't pretend to be professionals. We don't try to be or do. Shall we go ahead and just dive into what we've been playing and what's new in our accounts, or what's in the disc tray? What are you playing?
Yeah.
Who goes first?
Whoever speaks up
go
first.
for it. You said first.
Okay, I've been playing the shit out of Not the Vampire, and I cannot understand why anyone would give this game a 6. Oh my gosh, I love it! Everything about it is right. Basically, imagine combining the Frogmind Sherlock Holmes games, the more recent ones coming together really good, then combine that with Yakuza and Bloodborne, and have it be this really beautifully written story. I mean, you think about a romantic arc in most RPGs. Usually it's like, I talked to you a few times, we're gonna bang, and then we're never gonna talk about it again.
Yep.
This thing builds your relationship with this one character throughout the entire game. There's this huge payoff. There's an actual mystery that slowly unravels. It's progressive. They address all sorts of different identities and ethnicities smoothly. There's all sorts of interplay between these various characters. You unlock dialogue trees by talking to people. You have to actually engage and interact with people to learn more about them, and talk to other people about them to learn and grow and just experience this very rich, compact world that you can make some serious choices depending on who you choose to be. You can be a saint, you can be, basically Batman as a vampire, or you can be the most sadistic Jack the Ripper ever, and it completely plays to that. It handles morality in one of the best ways I've ever seen, because you actually earn bonus experience points by learning more about people. But by learning more about people, you're learning, oh, I'm going to be killing this person, and but their mother depends upon them. I can't really do that. Oh, well, that guy's kind of an asshole. Oh, wait, there's that redeeming factor. They're constantly pulling on your heartstrings. They're doing everything right, and they nail it to the last bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like everything I've always wanted in a Persona game without the high school.
Yeah.
It's good. The only thing is you don't want it on console. Apparently the console port has terrible frame rate. But I've been playing the PC port, and I've been able to run it on ultra settings without a single hitch.
Yeah, well, clearly PC is a better way to go anyway, because PC, 60 frames per second is a kind of an important thing.
Oh yeah, but yes, I'll shut up about Vampire now.
No, it was great to hear that.
Please.
It's refreshing. It's refreshing to have someone that is incredibly passionate about a game to that degree. Like, that is really awesome to hear that, because I need to finish writing this thing, but I actually started writing this piece about why I've been less excited about new releases, and I just wait for it to come out and then hope for the best on the back end.
Oh yeah. And I'm completely with you there. There were only 2 games I was looking forward to this year. There was Onrush and there was Vampire. One of them paid off, the other one was absolutely terrible. You can guess which one was terrible.
I'm going to take a guess, and it was not Vampire.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Onrush.
Strange suspicion.
Sorry, what?
So, has it just been that then, or has there been anything else that you've been playing?
I recently cracked open Battleborn again because I'm like the last guy playing it on PC, playing as Dion, a game where you can play as this fan-tossing assassin who has all sorts of crazy taunts and an ultimate where she literally just chains and attacks everybody. Which is actually a power that you also get in Vampire.
Huh.
I did not expect until now. But yeah, I actually really like Battleborn, but unfortunately, by the time they made it worth playing, nobody was playing it. So, got bot mode.
I was gonna say, I remember the script. Yeah. I was just like, but that means someone actually enjoyed this game. What happened?
That still didn't bewilder you as much as when I told you that there are people who still play Aliens Cloning Marines.
Ooh. That hurts.
How?
Like, let me just describe how much that hurts. Like,
so somebody tells you that you're gonna have the most delicious, flavorful ice cream in the world in this heat that I am dealing with right now, and then they come back to you and they're like, you know what? I have some pudding. Would you like some pudding? You say, no, I wouldn't like some pudding. I'd like what you asked me or told me that you were gonna give me.
I completely understand, guys.
People are saying, no, this pudding's delicious. This is great. Man, I want some more of this. This is not going to make me sick at all.
Well, the trick is, it wasn't the pudding. It was the second course. Bug Hunt DLC is actually really well done. It's one of the best survival modes I've played in a while. You can set up turrets. It's basically what the campaign should have been as a wave-based horde mode. There's even a hardcore mode where you have no HUDs and there's friendly fire, and it's really nicely done. You can solo it or you can go in groups. And the PvP community, understand, the PC matchmaking is broken. You cannot match with people intentionally. But there's a Steam group of over 1,000 people who, for some reason, I treated like an anthropology study, basically, walking through this. And these people love playing this. This one guy, he basically plays Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and this. And that's pretty much all he plays, except for occasionally Interstellar Marines. And they're also wonderfully inclusive and nice. There was no harassment, no judgment, no any of that. It was really, weirdly pleasant. And I recently, actually, that coincidentally was the other thing that I played this week, was that I finally I popped in real quick to see how the guys are doing. And they're still playing it. It's like they just have built a little society of their own around this game that absolutely everybody else hates, and I kind of love that, even though I'm still bewildered. How did we get to this point?
I have a hypothesis. Hear me out. Okay, what I'm getting from what I'm picking up from what you are saying, essentially, is that because of how broken Aliens Colonial Marines was for so long, that anyone that was toxic doesn't have the patience to tolerate the game, the state the game was in, right? But decent people that actually, are worth time and whatnot, they have a better patience, they have a higher tolerance, and they waited it out. And now, that's all that's left are, decent people, decent players. And
wait a second.
Weird, isn't it?
That's crazy.
It's wonderful.
Could this be applied to Final Fantasy XIV? I feel like this could be applied to Final Fantasy XIV.
Could be.
I think it's less toxic than WoW is. I think it's far less toxic than WoW is.
Well, that is...
Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker HD also, there's barely anybody playing that, but they were all polite too. So yeah, there might be some credence to that.
Yeah, see, now I've heard that. I've heard that about Metal Gear, so that's not surprising. Final Fantasy XIV, but at the same time, you also have games like, and I'm gonna say this because it's what I've been playing, Guild Wars 2, still, that does really well at the whole, like, dealing with toxicity. It's funny how that when you actually force players and reward players for cooperating and not being a douche canoe to a person, you get decent people that play. It's such a crazy concept, but so I guess I'm diving into what I've been playing.
There you go.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2. Finally.
Isn't there something about a lich now?
Yes. Palawa Joko. He was. Right. Palawa Joko was actually a antagonist from Guild Wars 1 that they carried over into Guild Wars 2, complete with personality. Now this guy is a snarky, sarcastic, like evil son of a bitch. It's great. I'm
intrigued.
Yeah, I love the writing for him, and he is the main antagonist of the episode, the content that came out on Tuesday. So because it's brand new story content that came out on Tuesday, I was playing up on that, and getting like my new mount and getting through the story. And one of the things that Guild Wars does that I don't think I've seen other MMOs do is you have an expansion that comes out, but in between the expansions they do living world story content. So like is a gap filler between the expansion 1 story, expansion 2 story, or core game to first expansion, etc. It's like it was their gap fill, and that's currently what we are doing. So got to do that. Got the mount, got the story. So that's taken up a good chunk of time. Little Brick Out. Okay, I just happened to see that in chat. The Little Brick Out. I don't think I've ever played Little Brick Out. Sorry, I just saw that and I was just like, wait, I haven't.
I do not even know from the chat actually.
What else have I been playing beyond that? Unfortunately, I've been watching the Steam summer sales going, but I can't afford all those things. I want them all, but I can't get them all.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Well, and we'll be talking more about the Steam sale here later on, but
yeah.
I'll tell you, it's been some tough pickings. It
has. Of course, with like the free games that came out too, or like the download this now and it is yours free, even though it won't stay free, like the new Unreal. Is it Unreal Champions?
Quake Champions.
Thank you. Yes, that's it. It's still an Epic game.
Good feelings about that game. Such conflicted feelings.
It's got a good feel to it. Like, it takes me back to old Quake and old Unreal Tournament. Like, it feels so much like that. id Software did so good with that, and while I feel like there's gonna be some issues with community there, like the gameplay itself, I thought felt pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think anyone that plays FPS could certainly take time to check it out and see if it's worth their while. Those have been the biggest things I have been playing, I think. So waiting on that Jurassic Park too. Damn it, I really want that park game.
I just wish Quake Champions had single player. That's what I miss about Quake 1.
Well, it was the multiplayer. Like, that was... The old LAN parties is where it was at. Like, I remember a day when...
Oh, and I was your age.
we all had to take our big computer rigs to a place and hope someone had a router that could handle all our computers hooked onto a single network, and we played all there. Yep.
Oh, it was wonderful. We got entire school districts to say, yeah, it's better for these kids to be doing this than going out and being miscreants, so we're going to get them all in a gym and give them power supplies and everything else.
Oh, that sounds nice.
They'll do their thing. Yeah, that was my high school. That was my high school, and it was amazing.
That sounds very nice.
Yeah, it does.
Not that I had a computer for it at that time, but if I had a computer at that time, it would have been amazing.
I
So I
suppose...
was just terribly jealous.
So that was what you did in high school, but what about the last couple weeks? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so fast forward years. I've been playing a couple of things. I've been seriously enjoying the demo for Octopath Traveler. I'm looking forward to playing that out when it releases. That is just less than 2 weeks from now. That's a week from Friday. The demo release is really brilliant. They just say, hey, we're going to give you the first chapter of every single character in there. Strangely enough, with Octopath, they're not octopuses. They are 8 characters.
That's why it's called that.
Yes.
I'm a little disappointed. There should have been, like, people that were, like, Octodad. Just 8 Octodad characters. And
If
that would've been
Octodad
great.
does not create a sequel called Octodad Traveler, I'm going to be so disappointed in that. They've missed out on an incredible opportunity. But yeah, it's the entire first
Absolutely.
chapter for all 8 characters. Play as much of it as you can. They give you a giant area that you can work with, which is well more than the 3-hour time limit they give you. And then you take that 3 hours and you put it into the main game when it releases. Like, this is probably one of the strongest demos I have seen in a game in years. And that takes a lot for me to say.
It's good.
Nice.
So, definitely been enjoying that. I did take advantage of a couple of things in the Steam sale. The one biggest surprise that I've enjoyed is Axiom Verge, which is a 2015 game. A beautiful little Metroidvania style. And I love the storyline. It's convoluted. If I say anything, it's super spoilerific. But you find yourself essentially in the middle of the Metroidvania, much more on the Metroid side of things, wondering, what on earth am I doing here? Why is it that I'm picking up this gun that seems to also be some weird biomechanical creature thing? And over the course of the game, you discover what's going on and rediscover what's going on and try to make heads and tails of it. I love that psychological exploration. I love it when it's not very clear what's going on right at the beginning. And anything that gives me senses of cyberpunk, like it goes directly in, this is super cyberpunk.
Nice.
I mean, it's as cyberpunk as you can be without having other people around. Maybe I should say it that way. Like, it's more sci-fi than cyberpunk.
Can you excuse me for asking one last rabbit hole of a question?
There's no excusing. Just ask. Fire away.
Have you played Black Ops 3 perchance? Because you want a game that has tons of mysteries, you like cyberpunk, and you like experiences with, all this sort of branching ability to play. It does all that.
I need to get there. I have not yet. I played Black
If you
Ops
want
2.
PC, I'll gladly co-op with you. I've helped multiple friends get through it, and I've basically become an evangelist for that game.
I can tell.
It's
Sir,
fun.
have you heard the good news of Black Ops 3?
Yes, and I have one friend who hates it, and he keeps going, no, it's bad. No, it's good, and it just keeps going like that for a bit on Twitter.
Well, the problem is that interest doesn't match what a lot of people going into FPS are looking for. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're going to get a group of people that say, oh, this is awful. But that's an interesting subject that we'll be talking about here shortly.
Yes.
Last game that I've been playing, Dead Cells, which has been getting a lot of attention recently. It's so much fun. They're continuing to update it. It's still in beta officially, and I'm excited to see what new content they have going on. But it's fast, it's ferocious, it's fun. I can play a game if I'm playing poorly in like 3 minutes. And if I'm playing really well, I can keep that game going for 40. And then restart the campaign, because hopefully I won.
So I know that we're talking about the Steam Summer Sale like near the end of the show, so I think one thing I want to have you guys think about is like, what is the one weird thing you got from the sale? But we'll worry about that when we get there. A little bit ago though, assuming that was everything you played, Dizza?
That's everything. That's literally everything.
Cool.
Well, no, but I'll save those for later.
Fair. One of the things that I talked about there in my play was I had talked about Epic Games, and Epic Games has popped up in the news again. In particular, them and Bluehole, which for those of you that don't know, Bluehole is the company that developed PUBG, and Epic Games has its other little game called Fortnite. Maybe you've heard of it.
It's just a fad.
Yeah.
You just go through it. It's a phase. It's a phase. Eventually, everybody will play PUBG.
Right, yeah. And Bluehole was suing Epic Games for copyright infringement in Korean court. Well, Bluehole dropped their case. That
All
is
right.
Yeah. So
Why did they drop the case? Did they just say, hey, I don't think we can win this and we're done? Or did they decide it wasn't worth the effort? Or what?
there was no clarity on what exactly led to them dropping the suit. I know that there were plenty of people that were not too happy with them, you know, but as far as actual reasons for it, not much clarity on what's going on there. But just to talk a little bit about that situation, like a lot of people, when you hear it, like, you can't copyright ideas, right? Like, we've heard that so many times, right? We've heard that from other games, like, oh yeah, they could sue this, we could sue, I don't know,
XYZ company.
yeah, because they copied Doom. It's like, no, you can't copyright an idea.
Have genres if we did that.
No, that's just it, right? We couldn't do that.
There's only
Really
one
none.
first-person shooter. It will be Doom.
Right? Or just anything like that. You can't copyright the idea of that there can be a lich antagonist, right? Like, that's just an idea. Because we saw that in 2 big MMOs, right? Or anything like, you can't do that. But really, that's what it seemed like Bluehole was going after Epic Games for. A battle royale game mode where you have 100 people that's dropped on an island, and then there is an encompassing like area that closes in on the remaining players, and the idea is to be the last one, winner chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Right, but that is just an idea.
I'll throw this out there. If they want to make a copyright infringement on it, isn't Battle Royale the original that can make that claim?
You know, it's funny, we were talking about that earlier when we went to get dinner. Yeah, that is certainly one good point.
Not only that, but the only legal precedent of like copywriting a specific game aspect that ever happened was, I think it was Namco Bandai. They got the only capability of having a loading screen where another game could play during it. And they like held that until like the past few years. That's the only case where I recall where this actually panned out for a company, and all it did was, like we're saying here, it just made it worse for everybody else. All the other developers were like, well, we could probably just load some retro game here for someone to do during these incredibly long loading screens, but we legally can't. But, you know, Ochinabra Zombie stripper thing, that can have minigame, because Namco Bandai published it.
Sure. And we saw other games too where ideas were sued. Like, look at Too Human. Right? Too Human tried suing Epic Games, and it turns out that some of the code that was in Too Human ended up what was it? Some of Epic Games' code ended up in Too Human, and the judge ended up throwing it out and actually recalled all the games and had them destroyed. So, like, first off, going after the company that's giving you your game engine is a horrible idea. One, that is such a dumb idea. Two.
Do you like working relationships? Do you
Right.
like working with people ever?
Yeah, Silicon Knights didn't go for that.
No.
The CEO didn't. He really doesn't. He doesn't like people.
And it showed. That hurt Silicon Knights quite a bit, right?
Yeah, it's a shame.
But so in at least U.S. court, trying to make a copyright claim that Bluehole was trying to make would have not stood. Like, that would have just been tossed. Mind you, though, this was not a U.S. court. This was Korean court.
I don't know what makes that meaningful or different, other than, the fact that they appreciate video games so much more out there.
So the thing about Korean court in the copyright law is there's a father aspect to an idea that actually allows some ideas to be copyrighted to a company. Matt Pat of Game Theory goes into a half-hour video explaining exactly how that would have worked and how Bluehole actually had a chance to win that and what it could have meant for the gaming industry. It would have sucked.
And there's another legal case going on right now that's similarly relevant to this. The Westworld mobile app.
Yes.
Which, to be honest here, it really is a clone of Fallout Shelter. It really is. But apparently, it's developed by the same developer, and it's now been suggested by ZeniMax, and that they may have just outright borrowed code from Fallout Shelter to quickly get the Westworld app out really quick.
I have heard this.
Oh my.
Yes.
Or, like, no, this is all original, this is really quick. They're so experienced. It was like they got off the treadmill and they were still running. And, ZeniMax is like, yeah, no, we're not buying that. I think you can actually read the whole legal case on Polygon. I think they got a copy of the court documents, but
Yes.
it's looking dicey. And the thing is, it's a bit bigger for the mobile scene because clones are a problem. Like, it's absurd when I'm having to, I do a freelance gig for a mobile site, and we see so many clone games come through that we have to just like ignore because there's just too many of them. So if a legal precedent actually arose on the mobile scene for something like what Bluehole is trying to do for PUBG, that could seriously shake a lot of things up.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you should say
The question
that.
is, would it be for the better at that point?
Well,
Yeah, that's the thing.
So a couple questions. Like, first off, as far as like the Westworld versus Fallout Shelter, the case, who owns the right to the code? I think that was a good question that was brought up in the chat. That is such a great question. Who owns that code? Two, if it is the publishers, not the developer, that actually own the right to the code, well, then there's a huge problem, because part of what made this case such an interesting one is that some of the errors that exist in Fallout Shelter suddenly showed up in the Westworld game. It's like, oh, this is original code, is it? So why do you have the same errors in the game? Why do you have the same bugs?
Yeah, not well.
Not only that, I gotta find it here. You're talking about like Bluehole and mobile games. There are cases where Bluehole did sue mobile game developers for clones.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the difference. There were actual assets taken from PUBG.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Right. So that's the biggest difference, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
not just code or an idea, or it's actual assets.
It's material substance. It's quantitative. You can say without a doubt, hey, this is the clone.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find it here.
Whereas with coding, I mean, unless they give you access to the source,
And-
you can't officially say you know something whether or not it's clear that the same bugs are happening in both games. Like, there's still this air of the possibility, right?
Plausible deniability can be used a lot in space.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey, we had the same programmers doing these things, so of course they would make the same errors.
Yeah, so there's something on Rock Paper Shotgun about this. A PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds creators sue mobile games for copyright infringement and oh, is this part of the headline? Frying pan use. Well, you guys.
To be fair, that
Earliest
is.
frying pan use, I'm gonna say, is SquareSoft with Super Mario RPG.
Well, but the frying pan was also the Asgard. Not to be confused with the Asgard, but the Asgard.
Yeah.
Right, but that was part of the suit, right? They have a good coverage on it, and they actually shows like side by sides of like PUBG and this mobile clone. Like, if you had to look at the two, you would not know the difference. Like, it goes all the way down to like even before PUBG took Red Bull back out of the game because that asset usage was expired. There are actual Red Bull cans that are red instead of blue. Here, I'll just link it to you guys in the...
I found it, and I'm marveling at these screenshots they're showing of the frying pan because, I mean, a frying pan is not hard to animate, and I'm looking at these screenshots, and it looks like the frying pan is in a T-pose. How do you both steal a game's assets directly and do it this way? This reminds me of the time when someone tried to steal the assets from Silent Hill Downpour and made a PC game out of it for some reason. And yes, that happened. It was terrible, but someone somehow managed to get the assets off a 360 copy. I don't know how they did it. I'm impressed. But couldn't you have done it with a better game?
Well,
sorry.
Perhaps the idea was that they'd go after a game that wasn't as popular, so no one would notice.
That is true. That is fair. That could have been it. These developers, meanwhile, they just didn't care.
No, they're probably hoping that they would be small enough in the mobile arena that Bluehole wouldn't notice. But of course, with Bluehole doing a mobile PUBG direct competition, yeah. Of course, I guess it depends on how you look at it, right? Like, there are games that were made from like the Unity engine and like pre-bought assets. That's just game flipping, and that's horrible. But with games like that, the developers are buying the rights to those assets, whereas like this mobile game, there was no buying assets. It was just flat out like, we're gonna go ahead and take this, and we're gonna hope no one notices.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an agreement, that's a different thing. But that's the whole idea about copyright, is that, like, hey, we could have had an agreement, you just went ahead and stole stuff.
And, I mean, occasionally a licensed asset can be used properly. There are some indie games where they just outright say, I hired a contractor, they made me these assets. There are even tools for development that you can now get on, like, itch.io that just make things for Unreal or Unity streamlined. So, to some extent, it is understandable, but you need to be legit about it. If you're not being legit about it, then you're stealing. You're doing piracy, but in a way worse than even just borrowing a game.
Yeah, you're piracy for profit.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
And that gets attention extremely quickly.
Yeah, in a lot of cases like that, you're gonna get nailed to the wall too. Kind of circling back on this whole like Epic Games in Bluehole though, I think one of the things that while we talk about these other like scenarios and like where it's truly asset stealing or ideas being taken, excuse me, the idea that in Korean court, PUBG Bluehole had a chance. Think about the repercussions that could have had as far as like innovation in game design.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that people are talking about it as a distinct possibility means that there's going to be some other party here who actually does challenge things in Korean court regarding something like this. And of course, with the way that video games are, and especially the fact that Korea is a very important market for a good number of video games, Blizzard has no idea about this. The fact is, people have to now act in response to the possibility of it. You can't spend millions upon millions of dollars making a game just to find out that you're not going to be able to present that game the way that you're expecting to, or be able to do so profitably. So it does make me wonder a little bit how developers and publishers are going to move around that gray space. Because right now that's what it is. It is a gray space. And people are recognizing that it's not as simple to get out of it as they might have thought. And I almost wonder if that might have been part of the thought process with PUBG, is that, hey, if we open up this Pandora's box and they make a decision on it, what's actually going to happen? If I have other projects that encroach upon some of that territory that I might be interested in later, I may not want to necessarily get into this lawsuit. There are lots of different ways that they specifically might have been thinking about it, as well as what it means for the industry as a whole, and what other companies are going to do in response to that.
Sure. Of course, now there's the there's the other aspect to this too. Now that the court case has been dropped, I don't know how familiar you are with the business practices of like Fortnite and the like ways that they can make money, right? Is it?
I mean, it's fairly straightforward. You got the V-Bucks in Fortnite, so you can use that to get cosmetic items and do your season passes. Which reminds me, I have to get enough V-Bucks in my season pass to pay for next season, and I have been playing a lot. That's
okay. So you're familiar with like the battle pass, the season pass for Fortnite?
Yeah. I'm gonna be disappointed, but I'm probably gonna spend another $10 next month.
Now, are you prepared to know that Bluehole started doing season passes for their game?
Yeah, the first one was during the Steam sale.
Oh.
If I can add just one more interesting detail, is that this whole court case, very coincidentally, came around the same time in the headlines. People were noticing that Fortnite was actually starting to inch ahead of PUBG. Until that point, there was no lawsuit being drawn up. It was the second that someone was doing it better, which I don't want to sound like I'm being condescending to the modding scene or anything, but the fact that PUBG was born out of a modding project and now it's kind of getting paid by someone else doing what it's doing but better, from my modding days, this sounds very familiar. So the behavior doesn't entirely shock me on that front, unfortunately.
That
People can get petty.
Careful. I'm the cynical one around here. That you're starting to tiptoe into my territory. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, the rumors were there for a while, and the suit was kind of in limbo since January? But it took full steam ahead in April. That sounds right. Well, yeah, it would have been April because that was what the other articles were referring to. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's crazy to think that that's what they were going to sue over. Like, how many other games have come from mods? You know, we got what, DayZ from
Dota.
Yep, Dota, DayZ.
Neo Tokyo. There was some other Cyberpunk one.
Shadowrun?
No.
I think Shadowrun used an engine, but was its own creature.
Yeah, I do. What else? Overgrowth, that was one.
So, when it comes down, yes, the Stanley Parable is another great example of a mod.
Yes.
True.
When in doubt. But so we're starting to list off some of these games that we have enjoyed to different degrees, and we're successful to different degrees. Imagine if those were no longer a thing too, because of the way that this could have had an impact on the gaming industry and development.
Well, actually,
We
that's a
already
big
have
issue.
enough reasons why people are cautious.
But the thing is, Europe. Do you know what the legislation they've been doing there? They've been striking
yeah.
down a lot more on copyright. So even like memes are like punishable now if you're producing your. It's weird, but yeah, mods are gonna be like you might be able to play a mod that puts Master Chief in Skyrim in the U.S., but in Europe it might not technically be legal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought that there's not the vote to make that actual law. They're like in the last stage.
If they're making arguments about meme,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like the entire internet is going to take their collective flag of absolutely everything ever in the history of the universe and say, no, those are my memes. Don't you dare take them away from me.
Well, it's not just that. It's just like in general, anything like right now, like any type of fandom that does any type of like creativeness with that fandom, they're terrified right now over in Europe. Like there's so much things that could be done, and that could be irreversible, or it could cause so much damage, and it's because these people are voting on things that they don't realize the impact that it truly has. So like in theory you couldn't hire artists out of the UK or Europe. You couldn't hire writers that are, there's so many things.
Yeah, it's gonna turn it into a murky, sticky mess that nobody wants to get involved in.
Yeah.
And the problem is just that fear of that is enough to already make an action.
So, I mean, with that in mind, with what we've been talking about, like, there might have been a small victory for, like, the gaming industry, game development, and the internet, but it is a small bump that leads to the mountain ahead, because it's looking to be a bit rocky and in the months ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to have to revisit in a few months and see how the reaction is and how nuanced it is, because, I mean, a little bit of it's just going to be a feel of what that environment looks like. I don't think we're going to see a lot of very direct action regarding it, but it's going to be the, how much are we missing now because of it?
Also, what happens when there's like an IP handler that's fine with it? Like Microsoft is fine with fan games being made on PC for Halo, and the only reason they came down on Halo Online was because we don't care about your mod, we care about the fact that our dead game is still being played by people. That was their only big deal there. And like Disney tends to be pretty casual about Star Wars stuff. It's only EA that's spongy about that. So there's a lot of questions about if they're cool with it already, are they going to still be allowed to just be cool with it even? Will the companies even be able to just be loose with it or not?
And what happens when that company decides that they aren't cool with it anymore?
Well,
I mean, I don't change my mind too often on things, but when I do, it usually offends people. Even if it's just like, no, lemon curd is the most delicious thing on earth. I might not have liked lemon curd 2 weeks ago, but now that I'm saying it, everybody looks at me like, what?
Well,
it's not okay.
I think we'll be able to see some of this as far as like fanfic or like YouTube videos or Twitch in general, like with say Nintendo games. We'll definitely see the impact right away there, I suspect.
Oh yeah, no question. And oddly Atlas now. I don't know what happened with Atlas, but they've really been a lot more uptight with things like with Persona recently, and that's a shame.
Yeah, well, what was it at launch? They were like, you can't stream any of this game past like October or something in the real time game.
Yeah, it was
like
and
stuff like that, where it's like it's very anti-consumer. It's very frustrating, and it gets to the point where people just don't want to present your game at all. Like, I don't know. As people are more cautious, we're going to see more avoidance, and I don't know, it looks like a bad spiral.
Yeah, well, we can hope for the best, I suppose.
Indeed.
So
and tunnel through the frustration.
So say, speaking of like Nintendo and Fortnite,
Oh,
Did you see was it Sony and
It's
Nintendo?
Sony that's got an issue. Sony that's got a real big issue.
Just Sony. The problem was someone wanted to be able to carry their game between Twitch or not Switch, and this subject is twisting all of our tongues. But yeah, somebody wanted to. He played on PS4. He bought content on there, and he wanted to switch to Switch. And Sony was like, "Yeah, no." And that's the thing. The remarkable thing is you're able to transfer your account apparently until you spend money. So it actually disincentivizes spending money, which Epic has got to hate. I actually have seen some people I follow on Twitter who are like, I'm ready to spend money on this game, but I don't want to have two separate accounts.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even matter if they like paid for it on Switch and then move over to Sony. Sony still just will not play ball. It's impressively dickish. Back with the Xbox 360, it was just that we're just not going to do crossplay. This is going beyond that.
Okay, this is what I was thinking. On Twitter, and in fact, Nintendo and Microsoft teamed up against Sony about the whole crossplay situation.
Oh, that trailer was beautiful.
Right? What are you doing? Oh, I'm playing Fortnite. What are you doing? I'm also playing Fortnite. Do you want to play together? Sure. Do you want to get Sony? No, Sony won't want to do that.
And then they also show off Minecraft, because Minecraft does that too. And they've also got Paladins, I think, is now doing it. And apparently Paladins runs great on Switch. So Switch finally has an Overwatch alternative, because Blizzard still hasn't capitalized on that somehow. And there was one other, the racing one that I can't think of the name of right now, even though it's really, really popular.
So I happened to get a message on my little headphone thing from a representative from Sony, and I wanted to bring them in.
What?
Yes, Rocket League. Yes, thank you. Hello, Morpheus.
Hello, I'm Sony, because Dizza was not ready to say anything that was about to be said. So, guys, here's what's going on. I mean, from the best of logic that Diz has given me, and I'm clearly representative of Sony, 100%, like, absolutely. The fact is, if people are going to go and play Fortnite, they're going to play on our system. If they're going and getting all of their V-Bucks on other stuff, they're going online, they're using their phones, they're doing other things. You can play Fortnite on a potato now, practically. And you can buy all that stuff on that potato and then come over to my game and then play it for free. I got to keep servers up, guys. I've got to find a way to make sure that this is worth it for me. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. It doesn't make any sense.
Sony, I weep for you given that you added PS Plus requirements for online multiplayer now. I weep.
I'm just waiting for a blue pill or a red pill, honestly. Like, that is honestly what I'm waiting for right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's got green coming up.
Yeah, the real problem is that these are circular. These should be square. I think that would represent it a little bit better.
Oh, I love it. The visual effect. It's a serious intrigue.
Yeah. But yeah, you know all those things that I said before a couple of years back about how we're okay going with doing multiplayer, Xbox is okay with it, and we're gonna hang out and things. I know it all made sense back then, and it all sounded really good. But guys, the money. Guys, we need to pay for our server. Do you realize how big Fortnite is? It just became larger than PUBG. It just became larger than PUBG. And we gotta take care of all of that.
Mm-hmm. and I'm marveling that the devices that they're willing to let work with PS4, the mobile devices and PC, they actually worsen the balancing more than Switch and Xbox One would, because PC is going to be ultra precise, And mobile devices, I haven't tested it out on my phone yet. I'm going to finally be trying Fortnite, and I'm going to do it on my phone just to see how janky is it, because you're working with a touch screen. I mean, there have been some impressive feats done with a touch screen, but that's got to be even worse than using a controller. So they're basically ensuring that the least ideal player platforms are interacting. I don't see a scenario where this doesn't pan out good for them.
Look, I feel like every single one of the councils, the council developers have done a great job in their own way of creating isolation. You know, Nintendo did it great for a long time. PlayStation did it pretty well with PlayStation 3 and the coding issues, and now we got this crossplay situation that also is a bit of a mess. We'll call it a mess, right?
What are you talking about? It's perfect. Perfect.
And then, well, Microsoft and I suppose they're kind of the instigators with Xbox Live and their like isolation in that way. Like every single console creator has had their moments of isolation. It's just a case of, when does Sony decide to bite the bullet on this one and go, actually, maybe we'll let people play with their friends on other consoles? That seems like a good idea. What's the likelihood of that, though? What do you guys think? What's the likelihood of that actually happening?
But Nintendo's being nice about it, which is great to see, and the fact that they've even been letting people set up Xbox accounts on a Switch, that's encouraging. So I think at least Microsoft and Nintendo, we're going to see them work together. Sony has precedent in the past of like working with Valve, and they seem fine with PC with a couple things, but they seem, it's the second they got success again, they just turned into lots of words that I could say.
Oh, I'm the cool kid again? Can I be an asshole again? Oh, I can. Excellent. Yay.
Oh my gosh. That's not the way it is at all, guys. That's not the way it is at all. It's just a matter of dollars and cents. You know, I'm sure Diz would say this if he was here, but he's not. We need to do something about the store to make it easier for people to make purchases in our system so that they're attracted to making the payments on our side versus using these other payments. If that were the case, I don't think this would be a concern at all. We could open it up, it'd be fine. But we need to get our piece of the pie. And the fact is, I'm just worried that if we open it up, then people are going to go and get their stuff on PC because it's easier. That they're going to get their stuff on mobile because it's easier. Buy their V-Bucks and then come in and play for free.
Do you not?
Now I'm thinking, oh yeah, I miss the PlayStation Store when you could navigate it. Those were fun times.
Now, hold on. Don't you need PlayStation Plus in order to play online?
I don't think it applies to free-to-play games. I think that was a choice actually intentionally by Sony.
Okay.
Otherwise, like, they could flip the switch at any point, basically.
So there's no clear definition on it, but it's possible.
I actually don't know one way or the other, yeah. And I'm Sony.
Let's see if Dr. Google has an answer.
I'm sure Dr. Google has an answer.
He has a PhD in everything.
And that's actually a common question.
Nothing.
Yes, you do need Xbox Live Gold in order to play Fortnite Battle Royale on Xbox. You do not need PlayStation Plus in order to play Fortnite Battle Royale on the PlayStation.
That actually might define things a little bit more clearly at that point, because it is the only way that they are keeping the servers up at that point for Fortnite that are specific to PlayStation.
Yep, that makes a little more sense. Does it suck?
But,
yeah, but...
Okay, I need to take these glasses off. I'm done with this. That was...
This is back!
Oh, hey! Hey, guys. How are you? I needed to get something to drink. It was really, really warm out. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that people are going to say, well, I want to be able to play on all of these other different consoles and be able to move around with my platform. I'm going to play on those other ones, and I'm not going to play on PlayStation. So even though in the short term, it sounds really great for PlayStation, to keep that money right in front of them and to be able to pay their servers that way, it's going to long run mean that they're going to have fewer players on PlayStation, period, because they're going to be losing the subscribership. They're going to be losing the interest in like per hour visits on their PS4 versus other consoles. The fact is, people have choices, and I'd be happy to see the stats, but I imagine there's a sizable portion of gamers that have more than one console. And at that point, you've just given anybody who plays Fortnite and has two consoles a big reason to not play your console more often. So I think long run, that's a challenge that they're going to get into. Maybe they do change it up. Well, and here's the other problem too. If they change it up to that you have to have PlayStation Plus in order to get access to Fortnite for multiplayer, then people who have the Switch are still going to go to the Switch because Nintendo hasn't figured that out yet. Eventually, they'll figure it out. Maybe that's going to be the one place where Nintendo finally gets it worked out, and they have their subscribing multiplayer reason. Everybody else has Fortnite and has to pay for their servers. Well, yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I guess with that in mind, it'd be interesting to see if Sony's going to cave to the pressure of whether or not they're going to allow crossplay. Or they're going to go look from a no one wants to deal with it.
Cracks. You're starting. There was I think it was actually on PC Gamer recently. They had a post where someone was like, "Yeah, we're kind of looking into it. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to say anything deciding right now." So it sounds like the pressure is mounting.
Oh, the pressure is definitely on them. I mean, they must see that scenario. There's no question that they're looking at their brand name on what's going on with this. But they have to make a call one direction or the other as to what stance they're officially going to make versus the stance that they happen to turn themselves in. You know?
Fair.
When they do make a decision on it, it'll be very telling as to what direction they want to go and what market they're trying to target. If they're really looking for people who are getting PS4s to only play one console, that's not going to be a problem.
I feel like that number is probably a dwindling number, though, too. Like, I don't want to be like but see, look, I realize I am a minority when you look at my gaming console collection, but the idea that, especially late in a generation, that there's only one console at the living room TV just seems like it seems less likely. So if it's a case of, well, I have a Switch here and I have a PlayStation here, but I want to play with my friend who has an Xbox, I guess I'm playing my Switch.
Yeah. Or PC, or mobile, which, I mean, if you're playing with a friend who has mobile and you're on a console, what are you doing? Just what are you doing?
Teach them a lesson is what you got to be doing.
You need to make better decisions about who you play with.
And can I bring just one extra point in? Because, like you're saying, it's towards the end of the generation. Yeah, just like with last generation, where towards the end of things, Sony started to catch up and they started to really cramp out a lot of games. Microsoft's trying to do that, and also like when Sony ramped up with PlayStation Plus, because it was like, hey, get 2 free games every month with subscription and a bunch of other things. That is now happening with Xbox a lot more. It's potentially positioning, because Switch and Xbox One are moving towards offering games as a service via subscription model.
Yep.
And that's gonna and EA's going all out with EA Premier on Origin. That's offering to give you games before day one.
Yep.
And all of these things are being offered, and Sony keeps passing them up. And in fact, PS Plus in general has been kind of not been offering that much. They basically got so comfortable that I'm not sure what position Sony's going to be in by the time this generation ends, or when the next one begins, because they don't seem to have learned their lesson.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I guess that's another one where we're just gonna have to sit on back and just see what happens. I want to see how it plays out.
Predictions. What do you think is going to happen with the Fortnite scenario that's in front of us immediately?
I don't know.
You want my honest opinion? I suspect that the game will simmer and sizzle out before anything truly happens from it.
Wow, you're just a hater.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
You're playing PUBG every day, aren't you? I see it.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you should say that. I actually have not played PUBG in about 3 months. It's been about 3 months since I've played. Given everything that was going on with Bluehole and whatnot, I'm like, I'll just spend my time elsewhere. There are a lot of other shooting games that I could play that I enjoy. There are other games in general that I enjoy playing that I could play. You know what? I'll pass for now. And that's kind of what I've done.
Elijah?
Well, I suppose we've gotten to that point in the night. We've gotten to our special guest with the host topic of the evening.
Yeah, this is something very near and dear to me because it's practically the reason that I'm doing reviews right now, which is that, right now we're dealing with a lot of bigotry and hatred in gaming where it's like, we don't want this thing, except obviously people want this thing. But it's been an issue for years. I remember back in the day when I was having to argue with people, no, I actually played the BioShock 2 multiplayer and I enjoyed it a lot. And go figure, it would later be revealed it was developed by some of the teams that worked on the original Unreal Tournament. So it makes sense. And just, it's this whole fallacy of, this is what I want, therefore no one else wants it. And if that sounds familiar to you, you'd be right, because that's basically what's happening with Star Wars The Last Jedi. We're seeing this thing where certain sectors of fandoms just decide that they're the only opinion. It's this weird thing where communities have decided that our section is the only one that matters. Screw everybody else. And I don't get why this happens. It's sometimes why great reboots and stuff have died. Like there was Syndicate 2012. It was a brilliant shooter. Pretty much anyone who likes the FPS genre loves it. But it got skewered and sold horribly because it had the Syndicate name and it wasn't a top-down real-time strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many games like this where it dies off, and sometimes you see the ideas return, like a lot of what BioShock 2 did later ended up in Titanfall, but it's very hard to convince me. Even when Mass Effect 3, with its multiplayer, it's now still being played, but I remember when people were furious about it. So, yeah, this is the topic I want to discuss because it's a thing that gaming needs to grow out of, this insular mentality, and thoughts?
Well,
what causes it, I think, is an interesting piece.
Oh, that is such a deep hole.
What gets people into that mentality of what I think is what it is, and it shouldn't be anything else? Part of that's going to come with playing around with an experience and personalizing it, making it their own, right? Ownership is a very important part of fandom in general, and that usually means reiteration and repeating and going beyond the original material to think the what ifs. And once you've determined, hey, I've made this logical conclusion about this thing, I've made that logical conclusion about this thing, everybody seems to agree with me, this seems to be the truth. What it does is it stifles the creative opportunity. And creative opportunity for somebody who's just coming in and all of their source material is just the source material and not all of these corollaries of corollaries that have been established by thinking about the story too much and reading into certain things in very certain ways, leads to this false sense of truth, I think.
Also, if I could also add one more thing, and this is, once again, covered with the Last Jedi, is that behind the scenes doesn't seem to really get taken into account. We don't really humanize developers, and we don't really recognize what happened with a particular game's development or how that feedback changes things. Like the XCOM reboot that never actually got to happen. that 30-minute demo for when it was a first-person shooter and it had all these choices, it looked amazing. And don't get me wrong, Bureau turned out fine, but only fine because they kept altering it and changing it because XCOM Enforcer happened, so therefore this game has to be exactly like XCOM Enforcer because it's a shooter. Everybody jumps onto just like these little linchpin moments and not considering that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And when Polygon went into XCOM, it was like, oh yeah, tons of crazy things happened. XCOM 2 was actually considered at one point for just flat out being the reboot, apparently, amongst other things. It's crazy what happens in game development, but we act as if it's just, someone snaps their fingers, a level appears, a model appears, and there's no drama there. And yes. Why are we snapping?
I was making levels up
I
here.
still exist. I'm very happy.
I was making levels up here.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get rid of me?
I was worried. Am I talking too much?
No. I was making levels up here.
Okay.
No.
Well, I guess you don't have enough Infinity Stones anyway. So
I clearly. I think what we're seeing is it's a vocal minority, right? Like all this hate is so you get a couple people that get upset about a particular whatever it is, like say XCOM, this XCOM reboot, right? What happened with that whole situation, and then they found a couple other people that shared that opinion, and then they've created their own echo chamber of my opinion has been invalidated, and these few other people have validated this opinion, so clearly it's the right opinion.
Yeah, they basically conjure their own narrative. The reality is, it basically, wow, that's a lot.
They don't have authors. They don't have authors because they're seeing it as just a world, so they become their own author.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, let's be fair, we become our own authors. Whenever we're disappointed in a game because the game goes in a different direction than we thought, we are that person too. Let's personalize this a little bit, because I think to a certain extent everyone has the opportunity to be this person.
I remember doing that, and I tried to be better about that. Like when Rise of the Tomb Raider is like, oh, Rise of the Tomb Raider, you could actually have something meaningful to say about theology. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to toss up my hands.
See, when it comes to story, I try to keep myself to a degree. Well, okay, for myself, there are things that I will criticize, but usually there's like a sales antic or like a business standpoint on it that I'll criticize, right? Like, you brought up Mass Effect. Day 1 DLC is like one that I was like, that continues to rub me the wrong way, but or just because they did it, they're not the EA is not the only one that's done that, right? Or there are other business practices where it's like that is kind of slimy, guys. Like really.
A business practice is one thing though. That's kind of outside of the realm.
Right, but when it comes to story, those people are storytellers by profession for a reason. If those douche canoes feel like they could do better, I would love to see them write a story and pitch it and see how well it's taken.
That's just it. There's no response that we should have a constructive critique about this. We can actually have a dialogue about it. And the thing is, if people have a problem with the game and hear the developers out and have a real conversation, then we improve things.
Yep.
When you look at games essays where they talk about why a game failed or why it does something really well, that's a lot more valuable than 1,000 comments going, "I hate you because you're published by EA." I understand being utterly furious at EA for tons of reasons, but it doesn't really help the developers or anything. It just increases it. Sorry.
So here's the dilemma. Gamers only have a certain amount of time and a certain amount of opportunity to do that. It is far easier, it is far more sensible for the vast majority of people to make blanket statements and to conclude themselves however they want, and to want to validate themselves psychologically. They will still need to validate themselves for it. And so we're always going to have a certain extent of this because, and I promise you, no developer will be able to take the time to legitimately have this conversation with the groups of people that would be necessary. You might be able to do it in one or two key circumstances, and have it in an interesting way that people might get the message out of it. But there's no way you're ever going to be able to do it to the extent where it's going to significantly sway anything.
Yeah, it always worries me though. Also, because actually someone in the chat, Knox Ward, brought up about the Beyond Good and Evil 2 thing, and I want that to be a good thing. I want the community influencing and adding to that to be a good thing. I've actually been following Hit Record for a while now. They seem like a promising site. I'd like that to all work, but there's going to be a whole lot of other things because, I mean, we're talking about, how fanfic and how that can be stressful just with laws, but this opens a whole new can of worms for that. But not only that, but about how, like, in the Steven Universe fandom, you make a ship that somebody doesn't like. Everybody else is annoyed that you made that ship. Why didn't you go with this ship? And you can get hate for that. My concern is, what happens if people are like that about Beyond Good and Evil 2? Because then all that vitriol could get turned on a single person. That's when I'm really worried, because a developer at least can kind of hide behind being silent or only responding to the positive elements, but a single person, if they make an art asset in Beyond Good and Evil 2 that everybody else doesn't like, but the developers do,
yeah, it's gonna be Szechuan sauce at McDonald's all over again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I it's such a sticky thing too. Like,
yes, Szechuan sauce is very sticky.
Yes. Yes, it is. I just feel like I feel like at least when we dissect things, and if we talk about something that isn't good or isn't great, we answer the one question that a lot of these voices don't do. It's a simple question. Why? Why? Why is it bad? And you have to explain to them, no, you're no longer 5 years old. You don't get to say because. You actually have to come up with a reason. And if your argument sucks, that probably means that your opinion sucks. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but...
Ooh, we're telling it like it is.
Hey, look, that's what I do. If your reason is, well, I don't like it because... Blah, 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 and it's like, that's not a reason.
I like it because... Or I don't like it because it's not my idea, is 80% of the time the reason.
Yeah, and that's not good enough. That is not good enough.
That's not meaningful for anyone.
No, if you can go, I don't like this because of X, Y, Z, and explain why X, Y, Z relates to this reason that you don't like it, then that is a legitimate point. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, no, but it's at least legitimate as far as a conversation and moving that conversation forward. But just going, but I don't like this because it's not the way I would do it. You know what? Go take a flying leap, No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Except for the 5 other people.
But nobody's a good critic. Well, not everybody's a good critic, I'll say.
I mean, once you can write and present an argument for an hour about the simplest topic, then we'll talk about being a good critic, right? But using just because and I feel. The other one is I feel. Oh, do I hate I feel? I cannot tell you how much hate I feel.
Feelings.
Or presuming gameplay just because you saw like a CGI trailer or something. You suddenly know everything about the game design because you saw something. You didn't even try a demo or anything.
Wait. because I said so. It's not facts. Exactly.
Escalate before anything can actually be concluded on the game. That's the trouble. Or I mean, you can DOA something that way, or you can hype something that way. It goes both directions.
Yeah.
Like if you have incredibly high expectations of something because you've created that reality for something, and then all of a sudden it comes out and you're like, oh, well that's nothing. Or you have something that's you say is absolutely terrible and it ends up being great. In either situation, you have a really awful problem. You can have the No Man's Sky situation where people spend a ton of money on a game that ended up being awful, and now you've recommended something that turned out to be nothing.
Oh, no, don't point your fingers at me. I was the one that's like, I don't know about this yet, guys. Let's just wait now.
Oh, well, I'm not pointing at you. I'm just breaking up the...
You just remind me of one last thing. It was actually something years back, the movie, the RoboCop reboot. People were talking about, there were people in the RoboCop threads worried that it was going to be good. No, they actually got to the point where they were worried that the movie would be good because it wasn't what they wanted RoboCop to be, and they were scared of it actually doing well. That's when we really crossed the line here, but that's... How do you get to that point?
No, it's my thing. Nobody else should have it. It's mine.
Yeah.
Nobody else developed this. This is my universe.
That's exactly what it is.
And you all live in it.
And then you're right back at the well, this is a boy club, no girls allowed type of thing, right? Like, it's like, look, other people can enjoy things too. If that means that things are improved, then good.
I want a golden egg. I want it now. Guess what? You're that egg.
Yeah, no, I think really though the whole issue, it really is, it's a vocal minority that doesn't understand the way of actually doing a proper debate over an opinion on something. And I think that's what it really comes down to. And the problem, and I talked about this during the did I talk about this during the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago? As far as like these vocal minorities, is that a lot of people view the internet and these points where they can get their voice out as a shouting match. And they want to see if they can be the loudest one that shouts. They don't realize that really what this really should be is a cocktail party, and you should be mingling and having conversations. And if you have a point, you back up your point with talking points to go, this is why, and you can go into a conversation about it just like you would otherwise. It's a cocktail party, people. You have to interact, you have to mingle, you have to present your points. You can't just shout. If you get
sell people
what's the situation?
Sorry, go ahead.
And what's the situation where you should have a private conversation versus bringing it into public light?
That's true too.
When it comes down to a game, people don't feel like they could ever have a private conversation or a private opportunity. If you're that dedicated to a game where you have a strong opinion as to what that perspective is, I bet you could do it. I bet you could tweet that person, and I bet you they would be interested in what you were thinking.
Yeah. Well, again, and that's just it. Like, if we can get down to that one-on-one and go, hey, there's some concerns I have, and XYZ, and have bullet points for XYZ, I'm willing to bet that at least hear you out. If because, well, that said, being a creator, you have to be willing to take constructive feedback, right? There's crap feedback and there's constructive feedback. You have to be willing to take constructive feedback. Sometimes it hurts. Can I tell you how much it hurts sometimes when you get that? Because, you know, being a writer and editor, like, I've gotten that before, and it hurts sometimes, but you have to take it. It's a bitter pill. You gotta swallow it. But if you're willing to do that, then, yeah, those conversations are vital. And if it makes you consider what's being said, and if you can go, that is a good, fair point, I concede, or go, that's a fair point, however, blah, 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 and XYZ with points. That is a conversation. And even if that results in nothing getting done, but two people having opposing views, at least seeing a little more on the same level as one another, and that's, yes, exactly.
Ms. Michelle Jean, can we have you on a lecture about communication society? Because that feels like something that I would, one, expect from a textbook, and two, think the entire world should learn.
Look, I learned from a much more wiser person than myself. So
did every professor.
I don't... That would mean I have to write a syllabus. I don't know if I'd want to do that. That's a...
writing a syllabus can be fun. I actually weirdly speak from experience about that. It's a long story.
Well, I know what the
I like how
pose.
you're bouncing with enthusiasm right now. Like, yeah, I would totally do that. Oh yeah, give me that syllabus. I will get it set up for you.
And you broke him.
Anyway.
Wow.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that with my chair now.
I was about to say the writing. We got our post podcast conversation, so I would attend your class with gusto. I'm sorry, I don't will flat out read chat comments, but that one I just saw and it's like, that look, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just realize that there are other people that have opinions. They're not going to be the same. You have to.
Guys, I'm gonna need to turn off my camera for a second. Gonna have some through traffic. Someone's gonna grab something.
Okay.
I don't care on camera.
Oh, you don't care about it? Okay. Well, then,
Just the maid getting the laundry.
the maid, she says, but I'm her assistant at art shows.
I have a look. I now have a clip that I need to show you to, because this reminds me of that so much.
Oh my gosh, please.
Oh, I'm very curious.
So after the podcast, YouTube got this. Yeah,
Oh, you should link it for chat. I'm sure they want to see it right away.
I can't because it's actually a link to a podcast that this is based off of.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like the way our format changed, it's actually based off their podcast. So yeah.
Good.
Time. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, can we talk
it's all
about a lighter topic, maybe, and fun stuff?
So
Yes.
it is the summer, and you know what happens during the summer, other than all of this right here. And I'm sorry, I don't know where.
Gamer wallets everywhere cry out in horror because they realize they are about to become empty.
Yeah, my Dry Bones wallet. I used to have a wallet that had Dry Bones on it. It's literally gone now. It's gone. It's done. Steam sale is here, and I have officially ripped that wonderful, wonderful wallet that I had for so long. I had that since college.
I'm sorry.
Wah wah. Well, if it's wait. If it's Dry Bones, won't it just kind of reassemble back together?
Yeah, about that. That's why I'm not in my room right now. It's locked.
He threw it in the safe.
You don't want to risk it. You really don't. Not with Dry Bones. Plus,
Oh,
the moment you
goodness.
least expect him, they'll just come creeping up to you.
So yes, that does mean that the Steam Summer Sales is a thing. The question is, what are some of the big deals that you are seeing? What's the oh, this is on sale, you must get this with your hard-earned cash.
I have one quick question, Miss Michelle. What if one of us didn't actually get anything during the Steam sale, but maybe got something from the GOG and Itch.io sales?
Legit.
Oh wait, there is competition nowadays.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Totally
That's a good
legitimate.
point to make.
Totally legit. That is
On
legit.
GOG, I got a
Go.
ton of things. There was the old Elder Scrolls, Balspire, and Redguard. They include the first two Elder Scrolls on it. There's Magic Carpet. They got Rayman on there now. Rhyme. There's this thing called Evolva, which is kind of like Syndicate, but also a first-person shooter, like the old school Syndicate, and you evolve your characters over time like it's Darkspore. It's really weird. There's this cutesy thing called Clutchel. There's like Lost Vikings, but as a sci-fi shooter called Project Eden. There's just all sorts of crazy things on there. And for Itch.io, it gets even weirder. Like there's Beacon, which is currently in first access. Once the first 1,000 keys are gone, they're just not going to have it anymore. And it's this roguelike that's gorgeous. It has this amazing sense of style, and it's really fun to play. And there was Hive, which is basically playing like the aliens from, Alien, but just on their own little planet. And last but not least, I found there's this one guy, from what I understand, who's making 80s slasher flicks as playable games. Like, It's got the cheesy cover and everything. It looks like it's VHS graphics. There's the Power Drill Massacre and Babysitter Bloodbath, the ones in early access still. And someone else did a similar thing for Resident Evil that just came to Steam this summer sale. Prototype Mansion used no cover because the actual cover image for it is like an old Jewel CD case. And it's shown like 2x, and it's done just like Resident Evil. It's the isometric camera perspectives and everything, and I still want to crack into these things because they're so weird, but they look so lovely. All right,
Wow.
I mean, anything that is like slasher pick turned into movie, I think is a really good setup. I mean, that's Hotline Miami in a nutshell, right?
Exactly. From what I understand, you are playing the survivor, so I guess you could describe it as lo-fi Alien Isolation crossed with Friday the 13th.
So I guess is that anything like Friday the 13th then, as far as like that 80s slasher has VHS graphics and such?
Hold on, I can get a link real quick to what's finished. Hold on. Just there's the link. Can I post it in the chat?
I am working on that right now for you.
Hold on 1 second here. Let me get it up on HBO. It's just sharing. But yeah, it's. And because I'm looking up Babysitter Bloodbath on the computer, probably an NSA agent is going, "What the hell?" But yeah, there's that one. Find Prototype Mansion.
There we go. You got
Okay.
permitted.
All right, awesome, thank you. So there's that one and that one. Puppet Comet is the one. There's the other one for Prototype Mansion. Just these really neat horror games that I wasn't hearing about anywhere, but it's capturing precisely what people are complaining about with there being no new Silent Hill and everything. And Resident Evil, even though it's not first person and more survival horror-y, it's still very much action-y towards the end there for 3.7. So these perfectly capture what the old school stuff does while being original. So I'm very curious to crack into them. Plus the fact that their cost less than $6 makes it a lot easier to do an impulse buy.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, when you have something that's super inexpensive, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, even if this is bad, at least I'll enjoy it for an hour and it'll be okay. Like, it'll be slightly less value than a good movie, but...
Yeah, honestly, I think that's why these undercut Steam for me. That with itch.io, I have an entire library of free things. Roguelite from there is my go-to instead of Solitaire now. For when I first set up a PC, it's like, okay, we installed that, and now we can get on to other things. So just by default, I want that there now. And GOG, their sales go way below what Steam will offer, sometimes for even the same games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got a bunch of the Star Wars stuff, and they tend to not only get exclusives, they've got Episode 1 Racer right now, and Steam still doesn't have that to my knowledge, but they tend to go a little bit less, and they're still offering you DRM-free copies. I mean, you can use GOG Galaxy. I do, but because it's handy, but don't require that. It seems like the competition's actually trying to catch up on Steam. They're not there yet, but they're actually making an effort for it. And now that I completely derailed us from Steam, yes, please talk about what you found on the Steam sale.
Oh, that's great.
No, I think what the Steam Summer Sale has become the gaming summer sale. Because you're right, Green Man Gaming's got it, GOG's got it, Steam's got it. I'm pretty sure Origin's got a sale going on right now.
Oh yeah, I think they still got some of that going, like from Battlefield.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's two pieces, really. You know, they know that they need to compete with Steam. They know that Steam has gotten success on it. And I guess if there is a third one, it is Steam sale is not as exciting as it used to be.
No, it's not.
No flash sales. Well, supposedly there were some this year, but I never saw any.
Nope.
Nope.
And we've come to not expect them either. Like the past couple of years, they've said, these are all of the sales you're going to get during the time. Pick them. We've made it clear you're not going to get better deals, so just get it when you see it.
Yep. Which given that the overall aging demographic to gaming has become that aging, it means that there's less time available to be like, it's 4 a.m. and the changeovers occurred. I want X game, or I want to check the flash sale to see if this has become a thing or whatever it is. It's become harder to do that. So it's just for the sake of not pissing off a demographic or a sub-demographic that has said, here are the sales, prepare for it or do what you want to do to get these games, and no other surprises.
Here's the thing. I would much rather have surprises where people who are paying attention and have the opportunity to pay attention get the offers for the games that they want, and then have just at the end, kind of like they did before, hey, this is the final sale. If you didn't get it before, get it now.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not get the same discount, but hey, like, it rewards people who have more time than money. And that also demographically is great, because that means that you're able to get those prices for people who don't have the money. You know, it's like the same thing as, like, I go to a show. You know, I live in the greater Boston area. There are a lot of shows out here in the area, and there's one venue that I go to that if I plan things out 4 weeks in advance, I can get a ticket for a third of the cost as if I get it out of the door. And they do it progressively over time. So those people who really don't have the money to go ahead and pay for that premium amount say, okay, well, I'll pay by planning in advance when I'm going to go out to do it. Here's the date that I'm going to go, and things are all good. And then you get the people who are going to be willing to spend the smaller amount of money. People who are willing to spend that larger amount, you'll collect them at any time during that process, including later on when you can actually get more. So it makes more sense as just a matter of business to have opportunities for people to do that. And the people who are super savvy, they're going to get it too. I don't think it's a bad business decision for Steam. I find it interesting that they put themselves in a place where there's a lot of competition.
That's fair. I suppose that said, though, what did you get?
So, this time with my Steam sale, I bought one game that was more than $10. The rest of them were like super cheap games to begin with, and I was just like, I'm gonna give them a shot and see what happens. There were some which I knew were gonna be good. Definitely happy to go back into Chips Challenge. Like, I remember being like a 7-8-year-old kid playing Chips Challenge on my Windows 3.1 computer and thinking, this is the coolest thing on earth. I still think it's the coolest thing on earth. Well worth it. Let's see. I grabbed Witcher 2, which I'm definitely looking forward to playing. Super good sale on that. Forced Showdown, which I'm really curious about. Yeah, that hasn't gotten a lot of updates in like a year even. It's an older game, but for a couple of bucks, why not? I finally decided that I wasn't going to find a better sale than what's already up there for Undertale. Not that I haven't already paid attention to everything on there, but I should actually play it.
Yeah.
Let's see. There were a couple of newer things on there I really liked. Deadbolt, from the same people who made, what was it?
Transformers. And they also did. They also ported Advanced Warfare to the 360 and PS3. High Moon.
Yeah. They also did Risk of Rain, and I loved Risk of Rain.
There you go.
Wait, they were the ones behind Risk of Rain. Wow, I didn't know that.
Or maybe it was the publisher, Hopu Games or whatever.
I think we got. I think I got it wrong. Activision published the guys behind Deadpool.
Oh yeah, Deadbolt.
Oh, Deadbolt. Okay, now I know. Oh, that I want to try that one. One looks awesome.
I mean, Risk of Rain was phenomenal, and it's in the same art style, which already gives them super high points. But on top of that, it's a stealth game.
Okay.
And that's something that I've yet to. I haven't had a good stealth game in my life recently, so I'm looking forward to that. I did get some just silly, funny things, like I finally got to golf with your friends. I'm looking forward to Learn Japanese to Survive Hiragana Battle, which is literally an RPG where if you can't read what's being said, you're going to fall into your enemy weaknesses and die.
Okay.
And then I grabbed a few different roguelikes that I thought were interesting. Captain Forever Remix is probably my biggest surprise of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really fun game. So basically, the premise of the game is that you are a kid whose little brother has decided that he's gonna be the most evilest person on Earth, and you play space ships together, and kind of like a Lego puzzle, you put together your ship with weapons and things like that. It's almost like what was it, the mini game in Kingdom Hearts turned into a 2D shooter.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest mechanics of it is, as you are going through combat, if you have an opponent that knocks off part of your ship, and that ship has your thruster, well, you can't thrust in the right direction anymore, so you have to try to work around that. And you can actually put your ship back together on the fly. So, hey, I just lost all of my weapons. I better find a different piece and try to plug my weapons back into it so that I can knock out this guy. It's cool. It is ridiculously cool. It's difficult to play, and I think that they could have done some things mechanically to make it easier and more palatable versus just random. But I think it's incredibly solid. And of course, I talked a little bit about Axiom Verge before too. That one I knew I was really gonna like because of everything I said before. Captain Forever Remix was my big surprise on the under 5 list that I liked.
So you got a good variety.
You know what? All of those games, say the Axiom Verge, was like $34, including some games that I'm not talking about because they were awful. But you know what? One of them I literally spent 50 cents on. I will deal with spending 50 cents on this game to play it for like 10 minutes and then be like, nah, whatever.
Fair. I suppose I got to talk about what I got too, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Dish.
So first
You
off,
got a dish.
does the Steam summer sale and the Steam winter sales are the best time to pull the I'm initiating you, you're gonna have to deal with this. I bought Bad Rats for Hippo and Bunny.
Oh God.
So they now have Bad Rats.
And they could never
You know, I don't think I've ever opened my copy of Bad Rats.
For the record, I've also done this to Dizza, where he now owns a copy of Bad Rats. It's just like, yep, you that is permanently in your Steam library.
Mm-hmm. I can't escape it.
Best 98 cents ever.
Destination.
Beyond that, I ended up getting Blood Bowl and Blood Bowl 2.
Oh yeah.
I need to actually play a couple games, but I do have them. I do intend to play with them because I think getting involved with some of those Blood Bowl leagues that we have in the Poverty Gaming stream team, it'd be fun to jump in with those. So it was definitely to join in with those guys and have fun with that. So, yep, some Blood Bowl. As you may or may not know, I'm a Guild Wars fan. And I've really taken to the lore and the story and everything with Guild Wars 2. I didn't play 1. And ArenaNet doesn't sell it on sale that often. That said, you can get the bundled pack for $15 right now. And you can get Eye of the North, which is the last expansion, for $10. So $25 will get you the core game and all the expansions, which is kind of a steal of a deal.
You just okay, actually, I might be getting something on Steam sale now afterwards. Just remind me of something else that's rare. Age of Empires 3. I tried the demo. I liked it despite the changes. It never goes on sale. I found a physical copy at a yard sale. It doesn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a big kick in the crotch. So, you know what? Fine. All of it for $10. I might grab that. I might grab that real quick this time finally because I like Age of Empires. I'm terrible at real-time strategy, but I really like the Age of Empires games despite that. There's just something about them that's fun even when you suck, which I think is a testament to them.
That does really say something. the other big sale that's going on that's like I kind of want to jump on it because it's such a good deal is Civilization 6. I didn't get it yet, but right now it's still $60 core price, but you can get it for $17.99 or your nation's equivalent. But yeah, $18 for Civ 6 is kind of a good deal, and I enjoyed playing Civ 5.
It's been nice running the new podcast.
I would say, I think, yeah, I was still with roommates with Dizza, where there was a couple mornings where he came out and it's like, oh, you're still playing Civ 5? I'm like, I must get this done. Yep. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I might still do that.
Gandhi's attacking again.
Mm-hmm. What else did I get? Kind of looking at my library of what. There's another one I saw that was kind of a cheapo. One of the things that a lot of the poverty gamers have been doing is they've been doing sim games. So like City Skylines, which I played on my stream a bit, or Euro Truck Simulator.
That's on my short list. I might still get City Skylines. It's on a good sale.
It's a good game. It's a lot of fun.
$7.50, I think.
Yeah, if it's $7.50, it's well worth it. Like, it's a fun game. I think that Paragon did a great job with this one. The other one I got though it's a cheap little game called Train Fever. It's the same idea. It's like a track simulator, and I need to play further into it, but it seems like a simple little fun game, so I thought I'd give it a try. It was like $2.50, I think. So that was that oddball one for me. But Civ 5 is definitely the one that's like, if you like Civ games, this is one to look at. Other than that, everything else is either not out yet or just came out, so it's not on sale yet. Looking at you, Jurassic Park. Or the other one that might be worth it is if you're a Mega Man fan. The Mega Man Legacy Collection is available on Steam right now for $5.99.
That is not bad at all.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And those are the big ones. Grand Theft Auto's also had its largest discount this time around too. This is actually under $20 this time. I think it's the first time I've seen it drop below 20. Usually it stays in that 30 range.
Any games that are on your wish list that you're not getting on the sale?
Oh, well, I had like 30 games on my wish list, and I'm pretty sure Crafty would kill me if I bought all of them.
That's fair.
I can make you feel better if you want.
Huh?
My wish list is nearly at 500.
Oh my.
I like to wish, because the thing is, it's a double purpose thing, because sometimes it's like, that game looks like something interesting to interview the developers about. If you add this to the wish list, I'll contact them later. And then I forget to ever remove it from the wish list. So it's part scouting and part obsessively going, yes, I want to have this tailored list of everything that's on sale when that Steam sale finally hits. Because you can now finally do that with the wish list. You can finally just go, okay, what's on sale?
Yes.
And then you can do that.
Which is really nice.
Yes.
It is really nice, and of course that's happening right now too. Dang it. There we go.
Yeah. So, I've got some things that make me feel really guilty that I have on my wish list, and I can't legitimize it.
Oh, like what?
Let's see. It's mostly like anime RPGs. Like, I've got a lot of Tales series sitting in my cart.
I was about to say, what? Do you have a lot of Sword Art Online sitting over there, or?
Oh, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's definitely not anything that's on there. Delete Fatal Bullet. See, nothing. Don't even, no. Oh, gosh. Don't worry about that. .hack. No, I would never.
Hold on, .hack is good, though.
Have you tried Tales of Berseria, the latest one where you play as a pirate queen? I've actually been curious about that one.
Berseria I have on my list, and I'm very tempted. I mean, it's $15 right now on the sale, so that's
It's
not
a demo.
bad.
There's actually a free demo you can try. I just keep procrastinating and not getting to trying it.
You know what they say about
I'm not helping things,
procrastination.
am I? I'll stop trying to. I'll stop being the devil's advocate.
Oh. Other than that, I think was there a Lego game too, like Lego World? Wasn't that on sale too? That looked like it could be. If you're a
Oh.
Lego fan,
Yeah, it's basically Lego Minecraft. I actually got that for me and Mom.
there you go. That looks like that could be fun if you're a Lego person.
They even had split screen for PC, which is nice because people are finally realizing split screen on PC should be a feature.
True.
Yeah, it should. You never know when your couch co-op actually be a thing on PC. It does happen.
Yes.
Kind of looking through what else are the big ones that stick out to me.
Sonic Generations.
Oh god, I haven't played that in so long.
$5.
There you go. Yeah, if you're a Sonic fan and you haven't played Sonic Generations, shame on you. 2, go get it. That's a good deal.
I mean, if you're a Sonic fan and you don't have Sonic Generations or Sonic, oh my god, why am I zoning out? Sonic Mania?
Sonic Mania. Yeah, Sonic Mania.
Yeah. Both of those. Collect them now. And be disappointed in how long you've waited.
Yeah, especially Sonic Mania. That was so good. Yeah, that was so good. Especially as a person that, like... Okay, I loved playing the Sonic games when I was a kid. That was so good and so true to that classic 2D platforming, like, speedy experience. Like, that was great. That's a definite pickup.
Can I throw one in?
Throw one in?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I know I said it's not as good as what the original plan was, but seriously, the Bureau plus its DLC is like $6.
Oh, there you go.
I gave it a 9.5 when I originally reviewed it, and I still stand by that having recently replayed it. It's a little rough around the edges, the animation's a little stiff, but it's got some fantastic writing. It's actually very progressive in some respects. I love the cast, and it has one of the best endings. Like, if you hated the Mass Effect 3 ending and stuff like that, this will give you catharsis. There's actual consequences for your choices. There's really game-changing things for the narrative based on what you do, and it actually may be one of the few games to ever explain why you can see a heads-up display. Like, seriously, the entire ending arc is one of the best examples of going meta in a game that I've ever seen, and I will not say anything else. I do not want to spoil it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it. And it's only like 11 hours to get through the entire thing. RPG, that's pretty fair timing if you don't really love it, but you're curious to see what all it has.
Okay. Nice. Beyond that, I'm not sure what else is jumping out at me. Like, that, I think part of my problem is that a lot of the games that I would look at, I currently already own, so it doesn't show up as, you should get this game on sale, because you already own it.
If you already have what you want, it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, keep talking and nobody explodes. If you haven't played it yet.
Oh,
Yes. There you go.
Best party game ever. Best party game that you can bring people to your computer and show off your computer. Or whatever device you want, really. You have a VR? Even better. Most amazing on VR.
What else is there? Like, there's sales on Divinity, which is fine if you're a fan of Divinity. Wolfenstein's on sale.
Dizza, have you played Styx?
I have not.
Dude, oh my gosh, you need to play Styx! Understand, the first one, it's amazing until you cross the halfway point. But there's a second one out, it has drop-in, drop-out co-op on top of everything else, and it's basically a love letter to Thief and Hitman combined together with a snarky protagonist who's always got one-liners. The advertising is always weird. They've got this like kind of hip-hop rap thing that they've done for the trailers, but the actual thing is it's based on Cyanide and Spiders of Orcs and Men, which was already incredibly subversive because the orcs and the goblins were the good guys and the humans were the assholes. And Styx is a prequel series. It follows the one character. It explores what happened to him what got him to the point that he would later pair up with this giant orc. And I love just what they've done with the universe, and there's such a verticality. Think about the scale of a Hitman level. Now apply that to a thief mentality. There's a little bit more killing and stuff like that, but there is a reward for getting through without being detected. And you can create a clone of yourself that you can control remotely and solve puzzles.
Oh, wow. That's deep. There is a lot of opportunity there. And you know what? Like, The World Ends With You is one of my favorite games, so that advertising campaign, totally fine with me.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Didn't The World Ends With You come to Steam? Did or not? Or if that was mobile. That was mobile. Sorry. That was mobile. But yes. Yeah. Definitely check that one out.
Nice. The only other things, like, I see, like, it's funny because, like, Warframe keeps popping up. It's like, that's a free game. I don't need that on sale, but thank you.
Warframe's free?
It's like that one friend that's like, let's go bowling. I've wanted to go bowling with you for so long. Let's go bowling.
Final Fantasy 15 is half off right now.
And that's the correct response.
Ruby is 75% off if you want to get anime. I'm looking at you, Dizzy, since you're the anime game junkie.
Oh look, I feel guilty. I have not gotten any anime my entire life. There's another one. If you are looking for a game that will literally make you cry, what is it, Rakuen? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Interesting. Can you elaborate?
So let me give you the Steam explanation. A hospitalized boy comes to terms with his own story by traveling with his mom to a beautiful fantasy world, ultimately helping his fellow patients find closure by walking a mile in their shoes.
Okay, I'm interested. How do you spell it?
Rakuen.
There you go.
Wow, it's actually spelled phonetically. I haven't noticed.
I pronounced it phonetically. I'm sure it is not actually that way. I'm sure I am messing it up.
What else are some big ones? So the only other things I'm seeing is like Ark's on sale. That's under $20 right now. Fallout 4 is half off right now. Let me just check some of the other top sellers here. You can get the Steam Link for $2.50. Because, you know,
yeah, it does work very well, Steam Link.
I need to actually put mine to work. Rocket League is half off right now, so it's $10. Rust is available for $8.74. That's 75% off.
Rust is a pretty good pick. If
Yeah.
you're looking to do something sandboxy and you haven't gone into something in a while, Rust is definitely on my short list.
I mean, that's Avalanche, isn't it? I mean, Avalanche does okay work. Of course, I'm biased because of my own reasons, but what else stands out?
Oh, there's a morbid curiosity. I remember seeing it got showed off on Fanatical. I'm curious to see if it's on Steam still. So you guys remember Disney Infinity, right?
Yep.
Here's the weird thing. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, it's actually well, Disney just kind of tossed up their hands about the PC version. Mobile version's just flat out dead, but the PC version, they couldn't just kill it outright. So while there's no co-op and there's none of the online features, you can get every single playset and every single figure now for like $24 US dollars. So you can basically experience all that. It's like I said, it's a morbid curiosity. I have enjoyed what I've been able to play of my playset, but it's like you gotta weigh it. I have the console version so I can at least do Marvel Battlegrounds with friends, but the PC version, like, if you were ever curious, I mean, you can look at it as a post-mortem. It's a fascinating, weird little bit of gaming, but unfortunately there's not just gonna be anything new coming to it.
Oh, sure. Speaking of things that won't have anything more coming to it, I was talking about Civ 6, Civ 5 if you don't already own it. And if you're at all curious, you can get Civ 5 with all the expansions. It's $150 value for $12.27.
Oh man, that discount alone makes a certain part of me go, oh, I must get it. I don't think I'll play it, but I must get it.
You never know. I mean, there's a few of us that have it. So, of course, we talked about City Skylines, which is It is $7.50 right now. It's 75% off. So look, the Steam Summer Sale goes until July 5th. There's a lot of games that are available here. It's certainly worth a look at. There's bound to be something somewhere for someone. Even like Rise of the Tomb Raider is $18 right now. It's still normally $60. There's something for everyone. So
There's something for everyone in a whole bunch of different places. So take advantage of the fact that people are making competition out there. Find your best deal and rock it. Let us know what you enjoy. Like what's the big sale that you go to? It doesn't have to be a new game. In fact, I think some of the best deals out there are games that have been sitting out for a couple of years that you put a pause button on and have finally decided that it's the right time because it's at a great price point. Hashtag Poverty Gamer.
Hashtag Poverty Gaming. Well, I suppose that brings us to the end of the show. But before we go, we're going to go ahead and sell ourselves out. We're going to talk about what we're doing and where you can find us. Let us start with the Jesus. Let us start with a special guest for the show, Elijah, the Unabridged Gamer. Where can we find you? What are you working on? Give us a lowdown.
Okay, I am one of the contributors at Appalicious, where I talk about mobile apps way more seriously than most people probably do. On YouTube, you can find me at Unabridged Gamer, where I talk about all sorts of usually older games or very odd indie games. And sometimes they even turn out to be really, really good ones. And finally, if you want to see my written stuff, just follow me on Twitter at Paradigm Fallen. No spaces, no funny numbers. It's just straight up that. And yeah, I post my written stuff there. I go to all sorts of places like Game Critics and Unwinnable. Bounce around a lot. So if in any way I have not driven by rambling games, I guarantee you I'll do it on Twitter. That is a promise. That is a brand promise that will drive you crazy going on about dead games that why is he still talking about this?
Fair. Dizza?
All right. I've got a couple of different things going on. I'm so excited about Octopath Traveler that I've decided that I'm running a 24-hour marathon stream on the launch of the game. And we're going to see out in my Twitch, and it's twitch.tv/DizzaG, if we end up being the first channel on Twitch to actually beat that game. That is the challenge. This week and next week, I'm going to be spending some time on that. Also going to be keeping up with Dead Cells because Dead Cells is fun and everybody's kind of hanging out on it. There's going to be a lot of streaming these next couple of weeks, but I'm most looking forward to that. That's going to be the big event is not this Friday, but a week from. So that's the 13th of July. Hope to see you all there.
Cool. And obviously, you know where to find me, guys. My name is Miss Michelle Jean. I will probably be doing the usual Guild Wars Tuesdays on Tuesday, or Guild Wars Tuesday. Get it, Tuesday. That'll still be a thing. We're doing that this week. We got the Roller Beetle. We've gone through the story, so it'll be open world content. We'll be doing world bosses. I'll be showing the proper way to do world bosses and, you know, proper things that you should probably be doing while you're doing those bosses because people don't understand how to do that. Wednesday, we are taking the night off because of Independence Day in the U.S. I don't know if I'll be doing much, but I know a lot of other people will be, and I don't want... people should go have fun with their families and such that night, as it were. So I'll probably be back on Thursday night, which will probably just be me doing something like Euro Truck Simulator or something. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
They'll see you rolling.
Yeah. Oh, a big note to our Canadian people who are visiting. Happy Canada Day to you.
Yes.
Yes, Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day to all our Canadian viewers. And
I'm very
people that
sorry
stop
for
by.
not saying anything about it sooner.
Yeah, no, I did.
Extremely sorry.
It was like...
Eh.
I saw that and I was like, but there's no place to interject that right now. But yes, Happy Canada Day to those folks, and yes. On Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram. You can find me, Miss Michelle Jean, just as the Twitch name is spelled. And yeah, that's where you're gonna find me. I'll see you guys all on Tuesday here. When will you guys be on next on your proper channels? Do you know?
My next stream is just tomorrow.
There we go. So everyone bug him tomorrow.
Yes, bug him tomorrow, and my next video will be coming. Actually, I do have a new video coming next week. Next weekend, I'm going to be talking about Monster Prom, because I've been wanting to talk about that one. And also later, the day before that, you'll also be hearing me talk about Vampire again with the Hidden Object Guru. We're going to be doing a podcast about that. So yeah, if you weren't sick of me talking about it before, he and I are going to be gushing about it for like an hour.
Nice. There we go. Well, that said, I suppose that is it for Dizza and for Elijah the Unabridged Gamer. My name has been Miss Michelle Jean. This has been the Newbcast Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
In a blink of an eye.